The ugly race is in my face and traces back to when I was a few years old. The complexity of complexion meant my first taste of racism was amongst my own. Who would have thought this? My own left me on my own but never owned up to being so thoughtless. Same race but not the same shades. I was cast into shades, that's the price of being this black. In the shadow of a doubt without delight in the way I was made, cause being dark skinned makes you the butt end of wisecracks. But the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, they say. Well, I'm a blackberry. Who knows that's phony, so please don't push my buttons, don't do it. Like you wouldn't make an uncalled for joke about someone being dark so long as it had a ring to it. We're apparently meant to be running as a team in this race, but you beat me with the baton, so it was a clear message you relayed. Black is ugly. My television screen visualized this same view freely, reinforcing negative stereotypes of a race and labeling it black entertainment TV. You can be to your life to exploit your struggle just for ratings, so please know that if you're a promiscuous woman who doesn't know who fathered your child, you're ideal for the freak show. Maury, that one is for you. Because as an adolescent, that black box ensured I was carefully driven to deride and not to empathise with those who look like me. That black box my mind. That black box has the third power when your mind is cubed. That black box moulded my disposition so I had no opposition to its propositions. Because when your mind is cubical, you're receptive to any feces, so here's my position. Black is ugly. Years later in high school, my Caucasian music teacher made sure this didn't go unsung. Me and my friends were messing about during class and she responded cleanly with something like, "Look, it's only the black boys that are misbehaving." I'm stunned. Misbehaving badly and being black are inextricably linked. Let me think. Miss surely my small height, width and length didn't justify my conduct but suggested my capacity for immaturity was evident. Or does skin tone speak volumes about an object making their age irrelevant? Oh miss, you didn't teach me how to pluck chords on a guitar but your words struck chords, how bizarre. And I took the 3 notes you gave and noted what was connoted. The synergy was a symphony in which sympathy was simply not promoted. And that composition positioned my feelings in awkward places. Is this the way you conduct a class? Are you mindful of the way my mind's been orchestrated? Either way, you're a person I was led at the hands of for sure. You get credit for contributing to the soundtrack of my life that gets a frequent encore. So yeah, I know the score. Black is ugly. This was also affirmed in my history course. In the seconds, class would remind you blacks are second class, of course we're of course origins. The Zonka Fair taught me that we're only good enough to be goods and that our best property is that we are property. Because enslaved Africans were thrown off slave ships, yet that wasn't seen as going overboard. See, I listened properly. Segregation in the US taught me that blacks are impaired. Each has an imp air about them that you can't get past. Demonized and made to learn in rundown schools just to perpetuate the idea that we're a deprived class. But wait. See, this course also taught me that every subject should be subject to discourse, plus to consider things considerably. Thus, with age, I've learnt not to be the bandwagon type, so my opinions aren't driven by a syllabus. Because I've been taught some things that have distorted the way I think and contorted my perspective. But I've retaught myself a lot, so here's my retort to my past encounters in retrospective. Firstly, to those black or not who think to mock another's dark skin is fair, you're part of the reason why some of us envy those whose skin is fair. And so will pay a fare to go into an affair with vanity, like the very words doesn't suggest it's useless. But use this to cover our pigmentation. It's like we have a pigmentation because we behave like animals to be put on exhibition at a fair. Yes, we do this. Behaving foolishly as if our skin is dirty and flawed, so we clean up our acts with bleach, just to think ourselves more acceptable. This is the kind of thing colorism will teach. But I preach that you shouldn't believe the lie, and I don't care if cosmetic companies are selling it. See the fruitfulness of having skin with more melanin, because black is beautiful. And with that in mind, I square up to that black box. The fact that my monitor gives a platform to square suggests it should be checked a lot. Exploit a group, then sell exploits to that group. That's how you make a target a target. Oh, I wish it was illegal to exploit the black market. But it's not. And whether it should be is a different discussion. I just know to screen what's on my screen is a must. Especially when from that box many can be caught witnessing to what I witnessed to be unjust. I guess justice isn't always served, but what is served is a whole bunch of nonsense. Don't think they're square meals because they're not. That electronic cube once molded my mind, but I've learned to think outside of that box. Black is beautiful. And for my former music teacher, I honestly don't hold anything against you. But your ignorance meant we didn't sing from the same hymn sheet, so now's an opportune time to address your tune and tweak it. Because your views were resounding and need resounding, so I engineered that with what I've come to realise. And you're not owed this ode, but please know that to generalise can propagate generalised. And if you do that to me, you imply that I can do that to you, right? Because surely you wouldn't be opposed to me imposing on you a negative stereotype. See, notice my sarcasm to the situation. I'm trying to highlight the hypocrisy in it. If you accept when prejudice gives you a version of the truth, you could well be an aversion to the truth. So here's the truth. Black is beautiful. Lastly, when you have a school system that systematically schools a race about the negative aspects of their history, know that that can make them feel alienated. So when a black supremacist ideology feeds us a doctrine of hate, many are vulnerable to being indoctrinated. So that's something I actually understand but will never condone, so please don't think I wrote this with that kind of undertone. I guess a question we all have to ask ourselves is, what defines a piece of art more, the paint or the painter? How do you make a proper determination on the way something is made while disregarding its maker? See, I'm not indifferent to the issues caused by racial differences, I just watch what I keep my focus on. Everything around me tells me to focus on the colour of my image, and I do. But I know I've got to focus more on the one I was made in the image of. So that's what I'm going to do. It can be hard, but that's what I'm going to do in the midst of agony and pain. Maybe the ugly race wouldn't exist if we all ran this campaign. Maybe. Maybe.